Hi everyone, welcome to Legal Limelight. Today we have Tim Perreira, who helps men get unstuck, overcome burnout, and get the confidence they need to live their happy, healthy lives. So really excited to chat all things today. Tim and I connected on LinkedIn. I started seeing a lot of his posts, and it's an energy thing. When people put out a certain energy, you connect. I love his mission. I love his messaging. It's been super exciting to watch his growth on LinkedIn. So we're going to chat today. Hey, Tim. Hey,
Hey, we're rolling.
we are rolling. Okay, so you're on the West Coast, right?
Yeah. Yeah, San Diego.
I am East Coast. I'm at the beach today.
Wow.
So
I
bringing it to
should
you
have
both
I should
coasts.
have gotten that note. I should have gone down to the beach for this call.
I had to run 11 miles today.
Damn.
So, yeah, I know. I don't do the cold. My husband does the cold water, yeah, um, the bucket challenges, but I run. That's my thing.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, everybody's got to find whatever works for them. I do a little bit of both.
That's awesome. I gave your introduction before you came on, and how you help men get unstuck, help them find confidence and overcome burnout.
Yeah.
And we have yet to connect, so this is the first time we're chatting, but I saw your post and I've been following your journey. I hit burnout in 2019, working in big law, and went through some crazy life stuff, had my son 2 months early during the peak of the pandemic. And I don't drink alcohol anymore. There's all these things that I resonated, and I know I'm not the only one, because you have built such a following who attracting people who want to live a better life and know that there's a community of people who want to live a better life. So I'm really excited to talk with you today and share you with the community.
All right. I
Hey,
did hear all of that. I'm back.
so
I don't know what happened.
it's all good. That's why these are
Yeah.
Instagram lives. It's all good.
Yeah. I did hear you, talking about that and burning out in big law and everything. And yeah, it seems like it's such a hot topic now. I think, COVID accelerated a lot of this almost awakening, that people are experiencing when it comes to their own well-being, whether that's physical or mental. So definitely is a hot topic, and I think a lot of people are raising their hand, being like, wait, I want some of that. I want to feel better. I want, more for my life than just what I have been doing.
So give us high level, and if you don't already follow Tim, you should definitely hit the arrow, follow him and his company, Per Wellness on Instagram, but also you're it on LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
I love your anecdotes and posts. But can you give us a summary of what led you on this journey? Tell us your story.
Yeah, for sure. So I was in sales. I was in tech sales for a long time. And I think even before that, I like to go back before that. I played college sports, and played baseball in college. And I bring that up because I know a lot of athletes find it really tough to transition from university or college high level sports into the professional world, right? We kind of have dedicated our whole lives to this sport. Our identity is wrapped up in it. It's everything we know. It's our path. We're pouring everything we have. And then all of a sudden that it switches and we go, wait a minute. I thought that was life, and that's not all that life is. There, I have to do more. And so what is that? So I went through that for a few years, and I started to find my footing in sales. It just felt right. I was like, it reminded me of athletics. I could pour in a lot of effort. There were clear goals. I was like, great, if I worked harder, I'll make more money. It's like there were clear positions, or just promotion ranks and stuff. It was pretty clear that I was like, okay, I can kind of ascend the ladder. This will be great. I'll make money. I'll do well, maybe get stock options. And I was living in the Bay Area at the time. And so it was like the whole, the whole tech thing. And so anyway, I started doing really well in sales, and I climbed the ladder really quickly, won a bunch of awards, sales MVP, rookie of the year, president's club, which is the big, year end, top 10% of employees within the company. And I got, great promotion. I moved from San Francisco to New York City. I lived in Manhattan. I managed 2 sales teams out there. Like and this is all by 27, like I was crushing it and I was loving it and I had everything on paper. And what I had started to realize was that I was achieving all these things, but they weren't providing the level of fulfillment or happiness or whatever that I kind of thought they would, which happens so often with people, whether they go to, a big school and they get in and they graduate, or they like think their dream job, or they want to make a certain amount of money, or once they buy a house, or once they get married, or whatever. Once they achieve all of these things outside of them, and that was certainly the case for me. Like once you achieve all these things, they figured like, oh, I'm set. The rest of my life, I'm on cruise control and I'm happy forever in perpetuity. And obviously, spoiler alert for anybody that's watching, is like, that's not how it works. And, and so for me, my journey was right when I moved to New York City. I think a lot of these things started to set in where I was like, man, I had these great opportunities. I just got out of a long relationship as well. I was now in a place where I didn't know anybody across the country, and I was trying to figure out this new phase of my life. And, I really, from that point, for the next 4 years, experienced a decline in mental health. For the better part of 4 years, I went through depression, anxiety. I was drinking a bit more. I still had weird boundaries with alcohol. Wouldn't drink during the week, never took shots, always was able to stop whenever I wanted, but I would still go get hammered on Saturdays with my friends. And, after years of doing that, I moved cities 4 times in 4 years. I changed jobs 4 times in 4 years. I say this because in hindsight, what I was doing was I was trying to perfect my external circumstances and my environment, my job, how much money I made, the apartment I was in, who I was dating, all of these things to try and feel better about myself. And so how I got here is ultimately it led to me being fired. Like I was fired for performance. I just wasn't good at sales anymore. And, or at the time, and it was really rock bottom for me. And this was July of 2020. And, it was a moment where I was like, I remember looking at myself, I was like crying in the bathroom mirror, like didn't know where to go, lost, stuck, no motivation. Do I go back to sales? What do I do next? Like no answers. And the only thing that came to mind was the idea, like, you have to get your life back. And to me, what that meant was like, I have to start doing things for me, things that I want, not to live up to expectation of others, not to like have as nice of a house as my best friend, to make more money than some, whatever. It was like, I have to just start doing what I want to do, what I enjoy doing. Maybe that's start a business. Maybe that's, I don't know. And ultimately what was foundational in that was starting to put my well-being first and understanding, like the epiphany I tell people that I heard was that everything in life is neutral and only our mind makes them good or bad. And so for me, it was awakening to be like, holy crap, all of these struggles I've had in my life have been because of me. And I've been trying to fix everything outside of me, but really it's me. So,
wow, that was the answer for you. You were looking for like, what's broken? Is it where I'm living? Is it my apartment? Is it who I'm dating? Like, holy crap. It's internal. That was your moment of clarity.
That was it. Yeah.
So what happened from there?
So I had always been into wellness and health and fitness and nutrition and reading all the books and everything. And again, I like had this drive, and I was like always interested in health and feeling my best. And what this did is it gave me clarity. Like it gave me direction. It was like, okay, well now it's me. It's my mind. I have to figure out how to rewire my mind. I have to figure out like my beliefs that are holding me back, like what
Your
happened
values.
when I was a kid. Exactly. What's important to me? Why am I insecure over certain things? Why do I get triggered over, when somebody cuts me off or when somebody calls me an idiot? I don't know. Like, why do these things happen? What is it about how I think that, results in these feelings that I hate and that I dislike in my body? So I really just focused on trying to better understand myself, building my own awareness, introspection, like spent a lot of time, you know, whether it was like meditating, which was brand new to me, you know, writing a lot, just trying to better understand where my thoughts were coming. Why do I think this? And then why is that important? Why is that coming up? Why am I so triggered by that? And really just like
explore yourself and figure out who
exactly.
you are.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. So you used thoughts, mindset, like mental thinking and how that connected to emotion. So, I've been on a similar journey, which you know, I don't talk about a lot, but this is why I love Legal Limelight, because we can talk about it now. I had a pretty transformative mental shift last year around this time where I was just like, you know, like I want to level up my life. I want to be healthier. I want to be happier. And so I did the same thing. So anyone watching this, like, this is really, I think the key is it begins with your thoughts. It begins with your mindset. So Tim, have you read Think and Grow Rich?
Yeah, I have actually.
Okay. So, and like that, and The Secret, you know, all the law
Sure.
of attraction stuff, it's your mind. It starts with our minds and really discovering who we are. So, and we're doing that not only with ourselves now, but my husband and I started a law firm. And we're doing it with the firm. We're like, okay, who is the firm? It has its own identity. What's the firm's values?
Yeah.
Who are the people that work for the firm? Like what values do our attorneys share? And so what advice do you have for people who are stuck and really like want to get started on the journey to a better life, whatever that means for them?
Yeah. You know, first, I always like to start with people is by letting them know it's human, right? It's normal to struggle. And you know, having the space to just hold that for them and be like, man, you're not broken. You know, it's not you. There's a part of your mind that has just been conditioned over the course of your life to look for the insufficiencies and where, you know, it may feel like you're not enough. And then which then shows up in us like trying to compensate and trying to make more money or get a bigger house or, you know, look pretty or get, you know, augmentation or like dye our hair, whatever. It shows up in differently for everybody. And so first, I just want to say like it's just part of being human. And so like I love to first get the men I work with to shift into the state of learning to treat themselves like their best friend. You know, because I think for some people the idea that hey, it's just mindset, you know, can kind of fall on deaf ears. Like, what does that even mean? You know, and I get that. And so really understanding like, hey, a lot of these thoughts that you have, they're normal. Like everybody has it. You're not alone. You know, this like inner critic that you have on your shoulder, this voice that is saying, you know, you're not enough, or you got to do this, or you have to do this, or like, you know, oh, what an idiot. You know, it's like,
And
that
even when
is
you
just a
go
part
through
of
it
us.
all, and even as you like meditate and like work on these things, it's always going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, do you think it's how we react to it when it comes in, like when those thoughts creep in?
Yeah, for sure. I think because it's not something that what we don't want to do is resist it, right? Because it's part of us. It's part of the ego. It's part of the survival mind. It is like our survival mechanism as a human being. Every animal, every plant has a survival mechanism. And for us, it happens to be our ego, which we are more familiar with it being fight or flight. But also it shows up in ways like, you know, critical self-talk. Like I need to achieve. I need to get status. I need the better job. I need to look pretty. I need to have a six pack. I need like the car to get the girl or whatever. And so a lot of people have just lived with this voice driving their actions for years and years. And so the idea of just changing mindset and just changing my thought overnight is like,
I get that.
it's really, yeah. And so what I first look at is like, okay, just understand this part of you is normal. Understand this part, like you're
I like
not
that.
broken with this. Okay. And, you know, and then from there, having a little bit of compassion and grace for ourselves, we can, you know, really start to look at like where it's coming from, like what do we not like about it, what would we prefer instead, like who are we when we are our best selves, right? Like who is the person that we actually want to become, like using evidence from our past to be like, hey, when I'm at my best, like how do I act, how do I show up as a human, right? And how we can start, like, just subtly start tapping into more of that, because that's already there, you know?
And like being, I think also like I'm hearing it being intentional and not just going through life like letting things, you know, having intention behind it. Is, do you talk about
Yeah,
intention in your coaching?
for sure. And I think with that, you know, so understanding, for when you're not broken and that you're not alone, but also is that you have a choice. And that part of this idea with the mind, right, being, you know, hey, everything in life is neutral and only our mind makes meaning. For some, it's scary. I mean, a lot of us are used to placing blame on our circumstance or people or whatever's going on in our life, our job, our toxic boss, whatever. They're making us feel a certain way. And it's just not, it's not accurate, right? How we react to situations is really what causes us to feel a certain way. So I just say that. And so understanding that all meaning that happens in your life is just created in your own mind. And
Mm-hmm.
if you can start to lean into that and get it, it's actually incredibly empowering. It puts us to a very empowered state to understand, oh my gosh, like that's what it was for me, right? It was like, oh my gosh, I am doing this to myself. You know, I wasn't better overnight. I didn't have all the answers, but at least it shifted my perspective to be like, okay, I'm in control of this. Like
What do you say
I'm
to
in
the
the driver's seat. Yeah, go
What do
for it.
you say to the person that says, "But okay, Tim, but you know, y- you don't have the life that I have. You know, my parents got divorced young, and I'm trying to feed a family, and my boss is a jerk." You know, you know the story. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's all these things. So what do you say to that person that's looking at their external environment and saying, "This is why I'm stuck"?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, just honoring their reality, right? For them, that is the world they live in, and it's tough for them. It doesn't, just because it's happening in your own mind, right? Or just because, like, that's where meaning comes from, I should say, doesn't mean that it's any less painful for them. So understanding it's still fucking painful for them, and that's okay. But what I encourage people to do, and I know this is more of like a, you know, example, I don't know this individual, but is I really encourage them to get into a state where they're taking responsibility. Because when you start to take responsibility, that's when you become empowered. As opposed to, if everything outside of you is going to dictate how you feel on the inside, like now you're just a victim of circumstance. And that is not a place that you can really grow and change from.
That, I love that. And a good example is, you know, around like June of last year, really. Like, I have two small kids. I, you know, have a busy business and career and was struggling with like time. And I sat and said, okay, what can I do? What can I do to control? So I did an audit of my time, and of course, you know, like Netflix, Instagram, all this stuff that adds up. That's hours.
Yeah,
The average person spends hours. So I said, okay, I'm off.
fun.
I'm off social media. You know, I use it intentionally, like through
Sure.
creation, and I got off social as much as I could, and then I stopped watching Netflix. Like, I radically cut it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I wanted to watch something, it was like intentional. I would
Yeah.
schedule it in. So that's like, so I did that, and then I started getting up early, like really early. I get up at 3 a.m. as much as I can. And that has been a game changer in my life. And the reason why I'm saying this is because like it took me saying, what's one thing that I can control? I can't control that when my kids get up. I can't control how much, you know, craziness is going to come in
Yeah.
my inbox, but I can control getting up early and making more time in my schedule.
Yeah. I think it's great. It's awesome. And I love that. I did something similar when I first, back when I had really was at my rock bottom, and I didn't start getting up at 3, but it was like, how can I get control back of my inputs? You know, how I'm feeling, getting up early. I started taking cold showers then. That's when I started meditating and all this stuff I'd never done before, but I'm like, I need a shake up. And I think, you know, it's a micro version of really what is happening for you as an individual, where you are stepping into ownership of your life. You know, you're stepping into agency of being like, okay, I am actually, like, I do have the power to show up a certain way, to feel a certain way. Sometimes that is scheduling something. Sometimes that's just choosing not to respond a certain way in a situation. It's choosing to, like, I don't know, be at peace in a certain situation. Like I always use the example of somebody cuts you off. Everybody has been there. They got cut off, they get pissed off, they honk, or they flip somebody off. And, you know, for me, I think that was one thing early on that was an intention. I was like, let me see if I can just not get mad about this anymore. Like, what if I was just okay with it?
And control the reaction, your output.
Yeah.
I think I love that, because it's even like with the thoughts that come in our mind, or when someone comes at you, like wherever it comes from, you could choose to sit with it for a second and just say, okay, like, how am I going to react to that in a way that doesn't bring me down, or that'll actually give me peace?
Yeah. And I think, you know, also, like, what has really helped is understanding, like, that people are acting, or people are reacting a certain way because of them, because of how they see the world, because of their perspectives, because of their wiring, because of their upbringing, because of their genetic. Like, so much goes into it. Yet when something happened, like, for the example, like, let's say it's something just somebody says something to us that maybe we don't agree with, maybe they call us ugly, or I don't know, whatever, dumb. And just understanding, like, that's just their world, you know, that actually doesn't have anything to do with us. That is their perception coming from their perspective, based on, again, their whole life, their wiring, and ultimately, like, the struggles and insecurities and challenges that they're dealing with. And I think what that does, when you start to understand that, especially as you start to do work on yourself and see where that comes from within you, it really just provides a greater level of empathy for others, which is always a great place to live from.
Oh my God. I could talk to you all day. I'm so glad that we connected, and I'm going to continue to watch your journey. If you haven't already started working with lawyers, you definitely should get in more. Hopefully by redistributing this video, you do get some people to reach out, because we're not taught it in school. The anxiety and the stress of the legal profession, it's really next level, and I'm on a mission to try to figure out why. And, you know, that's why we built our firm, to redesign the practice of law in a way that's better for and creating happier clients and happier lawyers. So
yeah, that's awesome.
We need you. How can people work with you?
Yeah, so they can reach out through my website, which is perwellness.co. Of course, on Instagram, those that are here. And if anybody spends a lot of time on LinkedIn, that's really where I spend a lot of my time. So you can shoot me a note on LinkedIn, and we can chat.
Yes. Tim, thank you so much. Let's stay connected. And I really appreciate you sharing your messaging today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on. It was great to connect.
Okay, thanks everyone. This was Legal Limelight. We're here every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Yeah.